All right, let's talk to Kevin in Basingstoke. Hi, Kevin.
Good morning.
So, what do you think? Is the countryside racist?
Well, it's not the countryside, is it? It's the people that live in the countryside, which tend to be older people. That's why, older people are attracted to Reform UK, the Conservative Party. They wanted to leave the EU because older people are quite racist.
So, in that short sentence, you have basically suggested that older people are racist, as a generalisation, that Reform voters are racist, as a generalisation, people who voted for Brexit are racist, as a generalisation, and that people who have chosen to reside in the countryside are racist, as a generalisation. I think that's 4 prejudicial generalisations that you've managed in one sentence there, Kevin, which is quite the achievement. Well done, you.
I said they tend to be more racist, older people.
That's still suggesting that they're racist. Okay, I tend to be a bit of a murderer. I just tend to be a bit of a murderer.
Why are older people attracted to Reform UK then, and against the EU?
Well, since when have those things been racist then?
Pardon?
Since when have those things, being attracted to Reform or not liking the EU, since when have those been racist?
Well, I mean, it was the older generation that gave us Brexit. People over 65.
Yes, that's not the question I asked, though, Kevin. The question I asked is, what evidence do you have to say that not liking the EU or voting for Reform UK makes you tend to be a bit racist?
Well, because they wanted to leave the EU because they don't like foreigners.
Not necessarily.
Oh,
again, so you're saying that everyone who voted to leave the EU doesn't like foreigners?
I didn't say everyone, did I?
Well, that's what you just said. You just said that by older people gave us Brexit.
A straw man or something, isn't it? When you say that I said something that I didn't.
No, you said.
Everybody.
You said.
No, not everybody. Don't be daft.
So, what proportion would you say then?
Think the same. Pardon?
What proportion would you say that voted to leave the EU were racist because they don't like foreigners?
What proportion?
Yes.
A high proportion.
And what evidence do you have to back that up?
Well, why did they want? Well, because it was older people that don't like immigrants that wanted us to leave the EU, wasn't it? It wasn't the younger generation.
I don't know. You're saying, wasn't it? Like, I know. I mean, did you have any evidence to back that up? Again, I'll ask for the third time.
Opinion polls ask.
Okay, which ones? I'll look them up. You must know them. Which ones?
Well, you look it up. You've got a laptop in front of you.
Well, so you've called me on a TV channel again, Kevin, and you've made a ridiculous assertion, and you've not actually got anything to back it up. It's not my job to back up your point. It's your job to back up your point.
You do sometimes when you think you've got one over on me. You look it up. Why don't you look it up now? You've got a laptop.
Because it's not my job to do that. You're the one that has called a TV station to say that you believe that basically because of people who voted to leave the EU. By the way, what proportion of people that voted to leave the EU as well live in the countryside? You must have a statistic for that for me.
Sorry, say it again.
What proportion of people who voted to leave the EU live in the countryside?
Oh, I don't know. I think you've got me there.
So I mean, do you not think that would have been something important to have known?
When I see YouTube clips talking about immigrants and people that are older leave comments on there are so racist. They say, "Oh, I'm 65 in this country. I don't recognise this country. All these immigrants coming over here." It's always old. Older people.
The evidence that you have got of the countryside being racist is, with no data whatsoever to back it up or evidence, that older people tend to live in the countryside. Older people in the countryside tended to vote to leave the EU, even though you've absolutely nothing to back that up, and that you believe that that must mean that the countryside's racist because of some comments you've read on YouTube. I mean, is that a summation of
no,
where we are, Kevin?
Comments on YouTube clips from your channel.
Oh,
They're
comments on
always
YouTube
banging
chips
on.
about the
They're
about the
always
UK, about leaving the EU, and do those YouTube comments mention anywhere where those people happen to live? Do they say,
Yeah,
I'm over 60, I live in a rural area that's only dominated by white people, and I don't like the European Union? How many of those comments said that?
All of them.
Did they? All right, Kevin. Honestly, you're talking out of your parts of your countryside, shall we say? Thank you, Kevin. I think.